everyone, and welcome back to the cabin. Are you over 70 and planning to travel this year? Have you heard about the new TSA rules that went into effect in 2026? That title sounds scary, I know. But before you panic or cancel your trip, take a deep breath with me. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to prepare you, empower you, and make sure your next airport experience is as smooth as possible. I'm Anna, and I've been a flight attendant for 15 years, and let me tell you, I've watched the TSA rules evolve, change, and sometimes completely flip on their head. And here's what nobody's telling you. Some of these new 2026 regulations specifically impact travelers over 70 in ways that airlines and airports aren't clearly communicating. Just last month, I helped an elderly gentleman in his mid-70s who had no idea about the updated identification requirements. He nearly missed his flight to see his grandchildren because his driver's license wasn't compliant with the new standards. It broke my heart watching him scramble at the ticket counter. That's when I knew I had to make this video. Here's the truth. TSA updates their rules frequently, but in 2026, there have been some significant changes specifically affecting how older travelers move through airports. Everything from ID requirements to medical device protocols to assistance programs that many of you qualify for but don't even know exist. I'm going to walk you through the most critical updates you absolutely must know before your next trip. These aren't just suggestions. These are game-changing insider tips that will save you time, stress, and potentially even save your trip. And before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss important updates like these. Your safety and comfort matter to me, and I want to make sure you're always traveling with confidence. Now, let's get into it. Tip number 1. The Real ID deadline is finally here, and it's not optional. The problem situation. Here's what's happening right now in airports across America, and I see this confusion every single day. Travelers over 70 are showing up with driver's licenses they've had for years, maybe even decades, and they're being turned away at security. Why? Because as of May 7th, 2025, the Real ID Act enforcement finally went into full effect, and in 2026, TSA is not budging on this requirement anymore. I know what you're thinking, but Sophia, I've been flying with this license for 30 years. I hear you, and I understand the frustration, but here's the reality. If your ID doesn't have that little star in the upper right corner, you're not getting through TSA security for domestic flights, period. And this catches so many senior travelers off guard because the notifications from state DMVs have been inconsistent at best. The insider secret solution. Let me tell you what really happens behind the scenes. TSA agents have zero flexibility on this rule now. In 2023 and 2024, they might have been lenient, letting people through with warnings. Those days are over. In 2026, I've personally witnessed passengers, including elderly travelers with mobility issues, being turned away at security and having to miss flights because their ID wasn't compliant. Here's what most people don't realize. Even if your license doesn't expire until 2028 or 2030, if it was issued before your state adopted Real ID standards, it's not valid for flying. The expiration date doesn't matter, only whether it meets Real ID requirements. But here's some good news that airlines won't tell you. If you're over 75 and your state offers it, you may qualify for a free or reduced cost Real ID upgrade. Many states have senior citizen discounts or waivers for Real ID processing fees, but you have to ask for them specifically. They don't advertise this. Practical action steps. Right now, yes, pause this video if you need to. Go grab your driver's license or state ID. Look at the upper right corner. Do you see a star symbol? If yes, you're good to go. If you see a circle with not for federal identification, or if there's no star at all, you need to take action immediately. Here's your step-by-step plan. Visit your state's DMV website. Or call them. I know, not fun, but necessary. Ask specifically about real ID upgrades for seniors and any fee waivers. Book an appointment ASAP. Don't wait until right before your trip. Bring your birth certificate, social security card, and proof of residency. 2 utility bills work great. If you can't get a real ID before your trip, you can use a valid U.S. passport or passport card as an alternative. Now that we've covered your ID, and trust me, that's the #1 issue I see, let's talk about something that's changed dramatically in 2026 and actually makes life easier for many of you. Tip number 2. TSA PreCheck is now free for travelers 75 plus, but you have to apply. The problem: situation. Here's something that absolutely blows my mind. In early 2026, TSA quietly rolled out a program offering complimentary TSA PreCheck enrollment for travelers age 75 and older, and almost nobody knows about it. I've asked dozens of my senior passengers over the past few months, and maybe 1 in 20 has heard about this benefit. You know that feeling when you're at the airport, watching younger travelers breeze through the pre-check lane with their shoes on, laptops in their bags, and you're stuck in the regular security line, removing your jacket, your shoes, your belt, struggling to get everything into those bins while people are rushing behind you. That stress, that vulnerability of standing there in your socks on a cold airport floor, it doesn't have to be that way anymore. The insider secret solution. Let me share something with you. TSA introduced this program specifically because they recognize that older travelers face unique challenges at security checkpoints. The bending, the balance issues while removing shoes, the confusion about what needs to come out of bags. It was creating bottlenecks and, more importantly, creating fall risks and stress for senior passengers. Here's what they don't tell you in the fine print. This isn't just about convenience. TSA PreCheck members over 75 also qualify for additional assistance services that regular passengers don't get. You can request a TSA officer to help you with your bins. You get more time at the checkpoint without feeling rushed, and here's the big one. You're allowed to keep your shoes on, keep your light jacket on, and leave your laptop in your bag. In my 15 years of flying, I cannot tell you how many times I've seen elderly passengers lose their balance trying to put their shoes back on while standing at a security checkpoint. This program literally eliminates that risk. But here's what most people don't realize. Even though the program is free for you, you still have to go through the application process. TSA isn't automatically enrolling people. You have to know about it and take action. Practical action steps. Here's exactly what you need to do to get your free TSA PreCheck. Visit the TSA PreCheck enrollment website or call 8555-347-8371. When scheduling your appointment, specifically mention you're 75 or older and requesting the senior waiver. Bring your real ID compliant license. See, tip number 1 was important, and one additional form of ID. The appointment takes about 10 minutes. They'll take your fingerprints and photo. You'll receive your known traveler number, KTN, within 3 or 5 days via email. Add this number to your airline profiles and always include it when booking flights. Pro tip from me. Even if you only fly once or twice a year, this is worth doing. The peace of mind and physical ease it provides is invaluable, and it's valid for 5 years, completely free for you. Speaking of making security easier, let me tell you about a change in medical device screening that's a game changer for many of you. Tip 3. New medical device and medication rules. What you must declare. The problem situation. This is where I see the most confusion and stress at security checkpoints. Travelers over 70 are statistically more likely to be traveling with medical devices, medications, and health-related items, and the TSA rules in 2026 have become both more strict and more accommodating if you know how to navigate them. Just 2 weeks ago, I watched a woman in her late 60s have to unpack her entire carry-on at security because she didn't properly declare her insulin supplies. The TSA agents weren't being difficult. They were following new 2026 protocols that require advance notification for certain medical items. She was in tears, embarrassed, and we nearly had to delay the flight. It was completely avoidable. Here's what's changed. TSA now requires passengers to verbally declare medical items before screening begins, and they've expanded the list of what needs to be declared. But, and this is important, they've also created a much more dignified private screening process for those who declare properly. The insider secret solution. Let me tell you what really happens behind that TSA podium. When you approach security, if you verbally tell the TSA officer, "I'm traveling with medical supplies," they will mark your boarding pass with a special code. This code alerts the screening officers that you need the medical screening protocol, which is actually much more respectful and often faster than standard screening. Here's the insider secret. TSA has a notification card system that almost nobody uses. You can download and print cards from the TSA website that explain your medical condition and devices in writing. You hand this card to the TSA officer without having to announce your private health information out loud to everyone in line. I've seen passengers with ostomy bags, insulin pumps, pacemakers, and catheters use these cards, and it makes the entire process so much more dignified. What they don't advertise is this. If you have a medical device that cannot go through the metal detector or body scanner, pacemakers, insulin pumps, portacaths, etc., you have the right to request a pat-down instead. You can also request this be done in a private screening room with a witness of your choice present. Don't let anyone rush you or make you feel like you're being difficult. This is your legal right. Practical action steps. Before your next flight, do this preparation work. Make a list of all medications and medical devices you'll be carrying: prescription meds, over-the-counter meds, inhalers, insulin, syringes, etc. Keep all medications in their original labeled prescription bottles. TSA can and will verify them in 2026. Download TSA notification cards specific to your conditions from the TSA website. Pack a letter from your doctor on official letterhead listing your medical devices and medications. Not always required, but it helps. Place all medical items in a clear, separate bag at the top of your carry-on for easy access. When you approach the TSA podium, calmly say, "I'm traveling with medical supplies," and hand them your notification card. Important, you are allowed to bring medically necessary liquids in quantities greater than 3.4 ounces, but you must declare them. Don't try to hide them in your bag. That's what causes the delays and additional screening. Now, medical devices are one thing, but what about the physical assistance many of you might need getting through the airport? Let's talk about a service that's been expanded in 2026. Tip number 4, wheelchair and mobility assistance. New rights and hidden services. The problem, your situation. Here's a scenario I see almost every single flight. An older passenger who could really benefit from wheelchair assistance tries to tough it out and walk through the entire airport. Maybe they're embarrassed, maybe they don't want to be a burden, or maybe they simply don't know that requesting a wheelchair is not only free, but is actually a federally protected service that airlines must provide. I cannot tell you how many times I've had passengers board the plane exhausted, in pain, or even injured because they tried to walk from ticketing through security to the gate and down the jetway when they didn't have to. One gentleman told me, "I didn't want to bother anyone." Friend, it's not a bother. It's literally what the service exists for. What's changed in 2026? The Department of Transportation has implemented much stricter requirements for how quickly airlines must provide wheelchair service, and they've added mandatory training for all wheelchair assistants on working with elderly passengers and those with cognitive impairments. The insider secret solution. Here's what happens behind the scenes that passengers don't see. When you request wheelchair assistance, the airline creates what's called a Special Service Request, or SSR, in the reservation system. This triggers a whole chain of events. The gate is notified, a wheelchair assistant is assigned to you specifically, and TSA is alerted that you'll need accommodation during screening. But here's the secret most travelers don't know. You can request wheelchair assistance for just the security checkpoint if that's your biggest challenge, or you can request it from curb to gate, or just from gate to airplane. You don't have to commit to using it for the entire airport journey. I've had many passengers request a wheelchair just for the long walk from security to a distant gate, and that's completely acceptable. What airlines won't tell you, if you request wheelchair assistance and they make you wait more than 30 minutes, that's actually a violation of federal law as of 2026. You have the right to file a complaint, and the airline can face penalties. This new enforcement has dramatically improved response times, but only if passengers know their rights. Here's another insider tip. If you have your own cane, walker, or portable wheelchair, TSA now has expedited screening lanes specifically for passengers with mobility devices. Just let the TSA officer know at the podium and they'll direct you to the appropriate lane. Practical action steps. Here's how to properly request and use wheelchair assistance. When booking your flight, look for the Special Assistance section and request wheelchair service. It's free. If you forgot to request it at booking, call the airline at least 48 hours before your flight, though you can request it at the airport too. It's just faster if they know in advance. Arrive at the airport at least 2.5 hours before domestic flights, 3 hours for international, to allow time for wheelchair coordination. When you arrive at the airport, go directly to the airline's check-in desk and inform them you have a wheelchair request. Stay with your wheelchair assistant. They know the fastest routes and can help you navigate security. Don't be afraid to speak up if you need to stop and rest or if the pace is too fast. Important reality check. Tip your wheelchair assistant. The suggested amount is $5 to $10 depending on the distance and service level. These folks work incredibly hard and are often underpaid. It's not required, but it's greatly appreciated and ensures excellent service. Mobility assistance is crucial, but let me tell you about another change in 2026 that affects how you pack and what you can bring through security. Tip number 5. Liquid rules have changed. Yes, again. And it actually helps you. The problem situation. How many times have you stood in that security line trying to remember if it's 3 ounces or 3.4 ounces? Or you've had to throw away that expensive face cream or prescription eye drops because you forgot about the liquid rule. I see it happen multiple times per flight, and it's frustrating for everyone involved. Here's what's changed in 2026 that literally nobody is talking about. Select airports have rolled out advanced CT scanning technology that allows passengers to keep liquids in their bags. No more removing that quart-sized bag. No more 311 rule at participating airports. But, and this is a big but, it's not at all airports, and the rules vary depending on which security checkpoint you go through. The confusion this creates is real. I've had passengers tell me, but at Chicago O'Hare, I didn't have to remove my liquids. And then they get to Dallas and they do have to remove them, and they think the TSA agent is being difficult. The agents aren't being difficult. The rules literally change based on the equipment at that specific checkpoint. The insider secret solution, let me tell you what's really happening. TSA has been quietly installing these new CT scanners at major airports, starting with the biggest hubs. The scanners create 3D images of your bag contents, which means they can see everything without you having to remove items. It's the same technology hospitals use for medical imaging. Really sophisticated stuff. Here's the insider secret. Even at airports with the new scanners, not every checkpoint has them. You might go through Terminal A with the old equipment and have to remove everything, then fly back through Terminal B with the new scanners and keep everything in your bag. TSA officers are supposed to tell you which rules apply at their specific checkpoint, but in the rush of a busy morning, sometimes that doesn't happen clearly. What they don't tell you, even at checkpoints with the new technology, medically necessary liquids still need to be declared separately. This hasn't changed. So your prescription eye drops, your liquid medications, your contact lens solution, those still need to be in a separate bag and declared to TSA, even with the fancy new scanners. Here's another secret for senior travelers. If you're carrying essential liquids like lens solution, saline, or prescription liquid medications, and you're worried about the 311 rule, you can freeze them. Frozen liquids are treated as solids by TSA. I've seen smart travelers freeze their contact lens solution in small containers, and by the time they get to their destination, it's thawed and ready to use. Genius. Practical action steps. Here's how to navigate the liquid rules in 2026 without losing your mind. Before your trip, check your departure airport's TSA website to see if they have CT scanners installed. They'll usually advertise this as innovation lanes. Regardless of scanner type, pack all liquids in a clear quart-sized bag and keep it accessible at the top of your carry-on. Keep medically necessary liquids in a separate clear bag, even if they're under 3.4 Oz. When you arrive at your security checkpoint, listen carefully to the TSA officer's instructions. They'll tell you if you need to remove liquids or not. If you're unsure, just ask. Say, "Do I need to remove my liquids at this checkpoint?" TSA officers would rather answer the question than have to rescreen your bag. Pro tip: I always recommend packing essential liquids in your checked bag when possible. Yes, there's a risk of luggage being lost, but for things like shampoo, conditioner, and body lotion, it's not worth the security line stress. Keep only truly essential items in your carry-on. Speaking of what you can and can't bring, let me tell you about some surprising items that are now either allowed or prohibited, and some of these might shock you. Okay, friends, we've covered a lot of ground today, and I know it might feel overwhelming, but here's what I want you to remember above all else. First, make absolutely sure your ID is real ID compliant before your next trip. That star in the corner is your golden ticket through security. Without it, you're not flying, period. Second, take advantage of the free TSA PreCheck if you're 75 or older. This is a game changer for your comfort and safety at security checkpoints, and there's no reason not to use it. And third, never be afraid to ask for help. Whether it's wheelchair assistance, escort services, medical accommodations, or just asking a TSA officer to explain something, these services exist for you, and you deserve to use them. The truth is, air travel in 2026 has become both more complex and more accommodating for senior travelers. Yes, there are more rules, but there are also more resources and protections specifically designed to make your journey safer and more comfortable. The key is knowing what's available and not being afraid to advocate for yourself. I've been doing this for 15 years, and the number one thing I've learned is that prepared travelers have better experiences. You don't need to memorize everything I've shared today. Bookmark this video, take notes, share it with family members who help you plan your trips. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to navigating airports. If you found this helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with any friends or loved ones over 70 who are planning to travel this year. Your one share could save someone from a missed flight or a stressful security experience. And I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments. Which of these tips surprised you the most? Have you experienced any of these new 2026 rules at your airport? What questions do you still have? I read every single comment, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. Remember, you've earned the right to travel with dignity, comfort, and confidence. Don't let fear or confusion keep you from seeing the world, visiting family, or taking that dream vacation. Safe travels, everyone. See you in the next video.